YouTube, what's happening? Welcome to my latest breakup video. Breakups, of course, are what I do. My name's Brad Browning. I'm located in beautiful Vancouver, Canada, and I'm possibly the world's most experienced breakup coach. So folks, if you want to get your ex back, get out your popcorn, because that's what this video is all about. Now, in this particular video, I'll be explaining what to do if you dumped your ex, but now regret it and want to get back together. Now, this is actually a lot more common than you might think. So if you're in this situation, where you initiated the breakup but later changed your mind, here's what you need to do to get your boyfriend or your girlfriend back. Now, this does apply to actually some other slightly different situations as well. So for instance, maybe you and your ex agreed to a mutual breakup and just, parted ways for whatever reason. Or maybe some of you out there broke up with your ex out of anger because he or she did something, really nasty to you. But now you've had some time to think it over and forgive your ex. Whatever the specifics of your situation are, most of what I'm about to talk about in this video is going to apply to you. Now, for those of you who want my personal help with your specific or unique situation, just visit breakupbrad.com/coaching and consider signing up for my one-on-one coaching program. Now, I don't always have coaching spots available, but that page will show you my current availability. And again, the details of my coaching are all at breakupbrad.com/coaching. Now, let's begin with a word of warning here. There's a lot of factors that will determine how difficult winning back your ex is going to be. So for some of you out there watching this video, it may simply be a matter of meeting up with your ex and asking him or her to get back together. Now, obviously that's pretty unlikely, but in some cases, such as if it's only been a few days since your breakup, or your ex clearly didn't agree with your decision to break up, it could really be that simple. Time is the biggest factor here. The longer it's been since your initial breakup, the more difficult it's going to be to rebuild your ex's attraction to you to the point where he or she is going to want to get back together. Now, that's not to say it's impossible to win back your lover after a year or more apart, but it's definitely going to be a lot more challenging. Now, partly the reason it's tough to get back together after a long time apart is because your ex will probably find somebody new in that time, right? And I think it goes without saying that you're gonna have a tougher time if your ex is in a new serious relationship with somebody new, right? So, if you are in that kind of situation where it's been many months or even years since the initial breakup, and you already know your ex is seeing somebody else and has been for some time, then please, think about moving on. I'm not saying you can't get him or her back, because I've seen it happen many times in the past with my clients. But you definitely do need to be ready for the possibility that you won't be able to get him or her back and that you'll need to move on. Now, another thing that's going to affect your strategy and your odds of success is your ex's attitude towards you now and their overall current feelings about you. So, did you dump them in a brutal fashion, or was it a tough decision that you made together after, shedding a lot of tears? If you were a complete dick, and you kicked your ex to the curb, then that actually may not hurt your chances of getting them back, believe it or not. But generally speaking, the cleaner your breakup, the easier it's going to be to get back together. Now, I know a lot of you guys out there are wondering, what if my ex initially didn't agree to the breakup? They didn't want to break up. It was all my decision. But since then, they've changed their mind, and now they don't want me back. Obviously, good question. It's a very common scenario. And in that case, you're going to need to use some of my sneaky psychological tactics to rebuild attraction and to change his or her mind. And I'm going to cover a few of those tactics shortly. But for my full video guide, where I describe a number of really powerful psychological techniques that you can use on your ex, visit my website, breakupbrad.com, after you finish watching this video. Now, regardless of which one of the scenarios I've just described that applies to you, your starting point is the same. So if you haven't already done so, it's time to cut the lines of communication with your ex starting today. Now, depending on how long it's been since your initial breakup, you may need to employ the full 30 days of no contact, which is what I advise, 95% of the time. However, if you haven't spoken to your ex at all for 2 or more weeks already, then you can safely skip this part. Otherwise, you need to shut down all contact with your ex for a while, especially if the breakup happened fairly recently, in the last 6 to 8 weeks or so. The no contact period is designed to give your ex time to let go of negative memories and begin to foster, some positive nostalgic ones. Now, this happens naturally when you're not talking to one another, and studies have shown that 30 days or so is the point at which those nostalgic feelings peak in your ex's mind after a breakup. So essentially, if you ignore your ex for a month after breaking up, that's when he or she is going to be missing you the most and thinking about all those amazing times that you shared together. Now, the other reason for employing my no contact strategy is because it sort of acts as a shock therapy. So instead of allowing your ex to gently let you go over a period of weeks or months, you're cutting yourself out of their life cold turkey. And trust me, if you've been in a serious relationship for a few months or longer in the past, then you know that suddenly having your partner disappear from your life one day, it's going to come as a huge shock, and it's going to create some serious heartache. So you need to make sure that your ex knows how painful it is when you're not around in their life anymore, and the no contact strategy is the best way to achieve that. All right, so at this point, after you've finished whatever period of no contact is necessary in your situation, and again, the longer it's been since the breakup or the more contact you've had with your ex since the breakup, the longer you need to go into no contact for or use no contact for. At that point, it's time to start rebuilding attraction and planting the seeds of romance in your ex's mind. Now, essentially, my techniques are designed to eliminate the negative thoughts and feelings that your ex has towards you and your relationship and replace them with positive ones. So basically, instead of your ex thinking, ugh, that loser ex who might have cheated on me, every time they hear your name, you want them to instead think, oh, how did I let that amazing person walk out of my life? That was such a mistake. So you've already started to do this by employing the no contact phase, because that's going to help your ex let go of the baggage and negative memories just on its own. But now it's time to really build real organic attraction. You want to make your ex see getting back together with you as their best option, so that they're going to ignore any other girls or guys that might be in their life and be overwhelmed by their feelings of attraction to you, and basically forcing them to ask you for a second chance. It becomes basically their decision to take you back. Now, this is the part where many people make serious mistakes. Building that kind of attraction, making your ex see you as their soulmate and the person they should spend their life with, that doesn't happen because of words. You can't just send your ex some flowers, say some nice things, and hope that they're just suddenly going to fall back in love with you. Now, the only time that strategy might work is if your ex already wants to get back together anyway. Otherwise, for 99% of you watching this video right now, sending love notes, spilling your heart out, sending flowers and gifts to their ex, all that stuff is going to do exactly the opposite of what you're trying to do. It's just going to make you look like a desperate, clingy loser. Now, since you are the one who broke up with your ex initially, or at the very least, if your breakup, was a mutual decision, then you've actually got a real big advantage at this point in the process. Generally speaking, when you're the dumper rather than the one who's been dumped, you're going to find it easier to start talking to your ex again. And in particular, it's usually easier to set up in-person meetings with your ex. Why? Well, basically because if you've played your cards correctly up to this point, your ex won't realize that you've changed your mind and decided that you wanted to get back together. So that means that your ex is less likely to see you and your true intentions, and they won't feel threatened by the idea of hanging out with you when you bring it up. Now, in case I didn't make it clear, you do not want your ex to know that you've changed your mind about the breakup and that you've decided you want to get back together. So don't throw away the huge advantage that you have being the one who initiated the breakup by telling your ex that you want them back. Don't show any sadness or regret over the breakup. Don't ask for a second chance. Just act like you're still confident in your decision to break up. You want your ex to think you're enjoying the single life, you're having fun, and you really aren't affected emotionally at all. Now, if you have already blown it, I'm sure some of you watching have, and told your ex, that you want them back already, or worse yet, maybe you've even begged and pleaded for a second chance already. That's not ideal, but don't sweat it. The no contact phase, as I talked about, it's even more important in your type of situation. So you'll want to disappear from his or her radar for at least a few weeks, and then restart conversation with your ex again. And this time, giving that impression that I just talked about, that you're moving on, that you're no longer desperate or heartbroken. Because, like I said, those are real attraction-killing behaviors, not attraction-building ones. So don't start reestablishing the connection with your ex by just, suddenly sending them 50 text messages a day and calling every night. You really need to start slow and steady because the tortoise wins the race here. So first, use simple and fun text messages just to break the ice. Now, I've included tons of examples of that kind of attraction-building message that are ideal to use at this point in your situation in my X Factor program. So if you need those, sign up at my website, breakupbrad.com, and that program will give you tons of ideas if you're stuck and you need to know what to say in your texts to make your ex fall in love with you again. All right, guys, I'm rambling a little bit here. So let's go take it back and just summarize a strategy that you're going to want to use when it comes to slowly rebuilding a connection with your ex. And this is really just, it's a bridge to get you to the point where you can meet up in person. But during these initial phases where you're just starting to restart contact, you want to keep your ex smiling and having fun. So, start by sending your ex a meme or an inside joke via text, and then ignore them for a couple days. Then maybe send another text, bring up a happy memory you shared together, and let the conversation go back and forth a couple times this time, before you shut it down. Always go slow. Always be upbeat and positive whenever you're talking to your ex, and always give off the impression that you're loving life and you're thriving since the breakup. Now, once you've done this for a few weeks and slowly started to build up some more regular communication, you'll probably be on good terms again, and your ex is going to be receptive when you suggest meeting up for a quick coffee date. Now, I recommend you frame this first meeting with your ex as, grabbing a drink for 20 minutes after work to catch up, or, just meeting for coffee to see how things are going with your new job. Basically anything that makes it sound as benign and innocent as possible. Chances are, if you followed my advice properly up to this point, your ex is going to agree to the meetup, and at this point, you're almost at the finish line. The final step is to get your ex to fall for you again. And I know that sounds like an impossible task, maybe to a lot of you out there, but it really is just a matter of flirting like crazy and bringing back the person that you were when your ex first fell in love with you. I mean, clearly, back then, when you first started dating this person, you had no problem charming them, building sexual and emotional attraction. So, don't get into any serious talks, arguments, or any kind of negativity when you're with your ex and meeting him again, because that's just going to make you look less attractive, and it's really not going to help your cause. So be positive, be upbeat, make them laugh, and flirt. Can't stress that enough. You want to flirt, flirt, flirt. Now, you don't want to come on, too strong if your ex isn't ready for it yet, but you can gauge how he or she's responding to your initial flirting and then adjust your game accordingly. Don't overthink it though, folks. I mean, just have fun together. Slowly start hanging out more and more, 2 or 3 times over a couple of weeks. And sooner or later, if you've been flirting enough, you've been building enough attraction, your ex is going to say that thing that you've been waiting to hear, I miss you. Can we give our relationship another chance? Will you take me back? Boom. There you have it, folks. That is how you win your ex back when you were the one who initiated the breakup and now you regret it. For my comprehensive video guide to getting your ex back, a full video presentation that reveals a boatload of must-know tips and advice that I didn't get a chance to cover in this video, head straight to my website, breakupbrad.com, where you can watch that full video for free. Again, it's www.breakupbrad.com to watch my full video there. And as always, guys, if you've got a quick question for me about this video or anything really, just click that subscribe button and then post it in the comments below. I'll read every comment on my videos, and I do my best to reply to each of you individually. Thanks in advance for your likes and subscribes, guys. I really appreciate the support. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. Wishing you guys all the very best of luck. I'm here if you need some extra help. You know where to find me. And thanks again for the support. We'll see you next time.